Hi, I'm Dave Worzel, you're watching PHTV4 Spotlight. Today's Spotlight is on the new head football coach at Chicago Christian High School in Palos Heights, Illinois. We've got Dan Chiarito here with us this morning. And first of all, congratulations, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So new as a head coach at Chicago Christian, but really not new as a coach. And I know you've been there for a while. Can you give us a little bit of your background at Chicago Christian and maybe then how you landed in this one?
So I've been at Chicago. This will be my 15th year at Chicago Christian. Different roles, JV head coach, coordinated all three sides of the ball throughout offense, defense, special teams, and now get an opportunity to lead the program. Humbled, I'm excited. I'm thrilled for the kids and for the program.
Good. Well, I mean, I'm happy for you, and I know with your experience there, and you have that connection and how important that is to a program. Mm-hmm. You don't actually teach at Chicago Christian, though. How about that? Where are you coming from?
So I work as an administrator, assistant director of HR at Arrow Special Ed Co-op. Mm-hmm. It's out of Burbank. So Argo, Evergreen Park, Revis, Oak Lawn Cooperative. They're an 11-member district cooperative. So I've been there as a behavior specialist, behavioral consultant, and now have slid into an administrative role, and it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's a great place to work, great collaboration with staff, and then get to coach afterwards.
Coaching.
So
and obviously you also coach basketball, right?
I do, freshman basketball coach. I've done that since my time through. Since starting at Chicago Christian, and it's good. It's good to see those kids, come in as young ninth graders and develop and grow, and to see them in different sports. So they have that connection. We talk about it at Chicago Christian. Football is not everyone's number one sport, and that's okay. And to see those guys excel in other sports and then come and compete. It's what I think makes Chicago Christian really unique.
I would agree with that. I've coached at Chicago Christian. We've coached together. One of the things that's so special about this school is it's a small school, but that also allows and really almost necessitates the kids do other things.
They do.
Other clubs, other sports, other activities, and in your experience, you get to, they're not one-dimensional. They're not just football kids. You see them in those other settings.
I do. I put out a social media tweet in the spring. At the time, our current roster, there was 86 or 87% of our kids were playing a spring sport.
Wow.
So when you think of like your typical football spring, off-season spring training, it looks different than at a different school.
You have kids running track or playing baseball.
Track, baseball, volleyball, doing and excelling at that level. Some of our football guys, all conference, are 4x1 team and 4x2 team.
Right, they
in track. They were state qualifiers, and those guys are football players. So,
so it's kind of exciting. That's maybe the transition for the question, because here we are in summer, but I think a lot of people are aware football isn't just a fall sport anymore. It's almost a year-round gig. How is the summer? How's the off-season going so far?
It's good. Like I said, spring is not your typical, only a handful of guys in the weight room. Majority of guys doing other sports. Our summer, we kind of officially kicked off right after graduation 2 weeks ago with some speed times, some baseline testing. A lot of guys not in the weight room because of those other sports, so needed to set a foundation of where are we at, and then last week was our first full week of lifting and practices.
So based on, and maybe you can mention some of the athletes as well if you'd like, but based on that first week, and I know you know the kids because you've been coaching the program. Last year Chicago Christian was 5-4. Played, had a couple really exciting games to make that happen. Qualified for the playoffs, and it was a young team. So you have a lot of these kids are back. Right? So when you look at that and what you've seen so far in the off season, how does it look going forward for you?
I think it's a gritty group, as you said, Coach. A lot of young guys playing last year, both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. I think them coming back with experience, and I think hungry to compete. It's a new conference, so there's a lot of unknown for us and going to compete. And I think just brings a unique opportunity.
Yeah, that brings up, you kind of, thank you very much, taking me into the next question. Like, so what are the challenges heading into this next year? Because obviously there's some, I'm guessing some transitional, as a new head coach and building your staff and also a new conference. You know, you've got a young team returning, but they still have to rise to that occasion. So, I mean, do you want to speak to that a little bit specifically, some of the challenges you're facing heading into this season?
I think bringing on a new, you know, coaching staff and them, you know, teaching them about Chicago Christian, not just football, and, you know, the things that are important to our kids and to our families. You know, then, and I would probably say we do football a little bit different in the summer than other schools, and kind of explaining the why we do that. I think it's a challenge, but I think it's it's an opportunity to even coach our coaches of a different way of going about summer workouts. You know, for our kids, it's pouring into them when they're there. You know, hey, we're going to give everything we have for this hour and a half or 2 hour session, and then go do baseball, go do basketball. You know, or go work your job.
Right.
So it's a
And it's all of that.
It is. It's a challenge as a high school, you know, teenager, of you're being pulled in different directions. And we know that we have a game in 65, 67 days, and it's preparing for that. And you know, the three words that we've used a lot and are part of our off season into the season is process, energy, and then value. You know, our process day by day, every lift, every workout. You know, bringing great energy to that will rise the value of our team collectively. And I think that's what we strive to do throughout this off season is have great value in the team as a whole.
Right. I was going to say, it is football. It's X's and O's on the grass. But, you know, the things you're trying to establish a culture, a mindset. How are we going to be? What are we going to look like?
Right.
You know, and as I recall, Chicago Christian works very well and very hard at, you know, creating a culture like that. Can you talk a little bit about some of the athletes who are returning that, you know, you see them having, you know, big roles this year, or important roles? And they all do, especially when the school is relatively small. But
I think, as you said, I think they all do. I think returning wise, it would start with, you know, Brock Sperling. He's a junior to be, but he's been a two-way 2-year starter for us even since a freshman year.
As I recall, and Brock was being recruited by all those private Catholic schools out there back when he was in grade school. I think they'd still like to get their hands on.
I'm sure there's a few that would love to. But he's just a great, hardworking kid for us. You know, the other teammates take to him. He's a junior, but he's a leader of our team.
Yeah.
Other guys, Zeke Goebel, Jeremiah Oliver, our running backs, you know, are consistent. They're durable. They're hardworking kids.
They're a nice tandem too, as I recall. I mean, Zeke is a power runner type guy, and Jeremiah's got some slash and burn speed to him.
He does, and Jeremiah was part of that 4x1 and 4x2 team. You know, and those guys, Blake Denman and Ryan Hurd and Austin Heisinger, are great athletes for us that I think will help us on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Offensive line-wise, Chase Seitzma, Caleb Vanderwerken returning. You know, Max Lenters is a good, solid two-way senior for us. I think we'll compete. You know, at quarterback, Christian Flutman we had a little bit of a quarterback competition going into last season.
Yeah.
You know, and Christian kind of rose to that challenge. And right now, you know, he's probably the guy, but there's going to be some competition, and there needs to be at all spots for us to be successful.
He was good. You want to talk about who his competitor was? Because he's an athlete too, and he's a downstate athlete also.
Caden Borsma, a receiver, DB for us.
He's an athlete.
He's an athlete. He's gritty. He's probably 130 pounds soaking wet.
He plays bigger than that.
But he does. He really does. On both sides of the ball, and he will help us immensely. AJ Van Dellen, receiver, DB for
Good
us.
hands.
Another
basketball player.
Basketball player, DB, really helped us. Kind of stepped into that cornerback role last year and really solidified that. Other young linebackers, Nico Griggs, Kenny Jager, solid group of guys. Like I said, I go back to the word value. For a small school, every guy has a role, every guy has a value, and it's finding what that is, because every guy's going to help us be successful.
Right. I feel like and think about Nico, a super tough kid, great linebacker last year, and Kenny, another great, tough, hardworking kid, who also kind of rose to a challenge last year. And Nico's brother, Demo, I was out there.
And he's in a position, of kind of, he's a great athlete. And that's what we want, is getting our best athletes on the field. And it's, for Demo, it's kind of, I had a conversation with him last week about, what is his best role, where's the fit to help us.
It's nice that you know that you've got good, tough kids here who can do something. Now we need to find a way to get them all in the field, right?
Yep.
And so maybe let's take that, working with the group of athletes you talked about, heading into the actual season now. You got who's your first game against, and then what would you say are? I mean, they're all big games. The only big game is the one you have that week.
That was going to be my response of what's your big games. It's the next one, and I think for us, we can't look ahead at the schedule. We can't look at or star this.
Who do you
game.
open up with?
Sullivan.
Okay.
So we played them last year at home. They're a tough.
They are tough. It's a very physical game.
Physical. Most would say, "Oh, you open with the CPS team. They're a well-disciplined, well-coached team." Saturday morning at 11 a.m. So that'll be. I don't think I've played an 11 a.m. game.
Where's that? Is it
in
CPS?
No, it's not Gately. I've drawn a blank on what.
But you're playing Saturday
11 a.m.
I
I haven't played one of those since my high school days as a freshman, probably. So. Be a new experience for the kids.
Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
You want to talk about prediction or expectations for the year? How do you feel about, maybe prediction is the wrong word, let's talk about expectations.
Expectations is that we're just going to get better every single day, every single game. And if we do that, we're going to put ourselves in a great position to win football games. We talk about our three core principles at Chicago Christian is developing Christ-like young men, off-season goals, but then game night goals, and really solidifying that and using that as a way to track success, as well as what do we need to get better at. And if we focus on those 5 game night goals, we'll put ourselves in positions to win football games.
Good things are going to happen for sure.
Yep.
And I think that's a really kind of healthy way to look at it. You need to take care of those other things, and if they're improving, if they're rising to your expectations, and working that hard, playing that hard, the good things will happen for sure.
We have an experienced group, but we have even for it's how to win football games. Yeah. We can't just say, hey, we're going to go win this football game, but it's the how.
You got to do more than show up.
How does offensive line play and defensive line play impact a game, and what can they do to help us win a game? And across all 3 levels: special teams, defense, and offense.
And then one final question for you here. So you're new in this job as head coach. I'm really happy for you. I know it's something that you've wanted. Now you've got that chance. But you have been coaching for several years. So whether in this role now or your coaching experience in the past, what do you like best about that job or this job?
I think it's just communicating with young men, just helping them grow. Yes, football-wise, yes, sports-wise, but it's the relationships, it's the coming back. I had a couple guys last week, like, hey, Coach, we're back in town for summer, you want to grab lunch?
Some alumni visit.
Some alumni, and those are great, and you've seen it a couple of years. They're coaching together, the alumni that come out in the summer and want to help, or what can I do? Those are great connections. We have a couple alumni coaching on staff this year, so our players seeing that of, hey, these guys were in the same shoes as I was X number of years ago. I think just kind of coordinating all that and leading that is what excites me.
It is a good feeling, especially in the case of alumni, and you see how their lives are going, and they're working, they're successful, they're happy, whatever the thing is. Not that they're not dealing with life's challenges, for sure they are, but they care that much about the program, Chicago Christian, about you and the staff and the other athletes, and they want to see that thing flourish, right? Well, Coach Chiarito, thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
I am really excited for you. Happy. Chicago Christian is lucky, and I think I think there are good things down the road for you.
Appreciate it.
So
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
good luck this year.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Dave Wurzone. You've been watching Spotlight. Today's Spotlight has been on Chicago Christian football's new head coach, Dan Chiarito. Thank you for watching.
Yep. I'd like to introduce our football coaching staff for the season. Over here to my left is Coach Derek Jones. He's going to be coaching our D-line, helping out with our offensive line, and is going to be our JV head coach. Okay. Over here is Coach Sam Caldwell. He's going to be our O-line coach. All right, and he's going to help coordinate us on the defensive side of the ball. Over here is Coach Tony Barclay. He's going to be helping us coach our DBs and receivers. And Coach Josh Hill. Okay, he's going to be our linebackers and receivers coach. Both these guys here are alumni to Chicago Christian. This group here, along with Coach Henry Light, make it happen. They're great coaches. They expect great things from the kids, and I'm excited to work with each one of them.